I just got back from attending Australia's newest sports conference called Victory Lap, and these are my best notes that I took down in my old phone of mine. Here's some. Wait, that's just the run sheet for today, but I promise you they're in there. Firstly, we actually kind of sort of vlogged the experience, not vlogged, just sort of gave an insight on the fly. My brother and I in our business's channel, 2 Times Creative, up. Maybe I can link it up here or put it up here, or maybe I'll just put it in the description below.
Did somebody say business trip? We're off to Brisbane for the first ever Victory Lap. Victory Lap is a sports conference that's marketed as not another sports conference. So yeah, I'm curious to see how they pull that off. Anyway, we're going to take you along for the ride.
Either way, it's going to be in the description below, so look at that first. The purpose of this video, I wanted to elaborate a bit more on my favourite takeaways, my favourite notes that I took down on this trusty phone of mine. I wish there was a notebook that had the Victory Lap. If you're watching, next time, please provide a lovely notebook and a pen. Even though I should have brought this myself, it's almost my favourite part of a conference, just sit there, lock in and take notes, not digitally on a piece of paper, but I had to go the digital route this time because I forgot, and it wasn't provided in that lovely bag of yours. Anyway, best notes I took. Actually, Victory Lap in general, I want to give a big shout out to the Victory Lap team. They're actually the Sport Design Australia team behind it all, but Victory Lap is what they're calling the conference, and it's sort of like their side brand, I guess, which I really respect. But they did an awesome job. And look, if you're in Australia and you're following creatives on LinkedIn, I tell you what, you have probably seen a lot of Victory Lap, or you're going to after your algorithm catches wind of it, because people post a lot about it and it's great. They genuinely did an awesome job before the event, like the lead up to it. Everyone was posting the custom made graphics. I did it myself. Everyone was posting sort of, hey, I'm attending. If you're attending, let's say hello. I did that as well. It was great. And after the fact, so many people did the same. Did sort of similar to what I was doing, their takeaways, their notes. And that's awesome. I think it's a great sign that the community sort of gets around and wants to talk about it and wants to post about it after the fact. So credit to you, Victory Lap. Now, number one, this is credit to Dr. Sarah Weimer here. Auckland University or something in Auckland, I believe. I hope I'm getting that right. But basically, she referenced that working in sport has a cool tax. And I was like, no idea what you're talking about to begin with. But she explained that it's basically like some employers pay people less and don't include as many benefits of the job because the job is cool. Like the sport job is cool. And because of that, they can afford to pay you less or not provide not provide as many resources as another industry might. And also, if you don't want a job, other people will. And I found that very interesting because I think it's such a relevant thing in sport. I think it's something we all go through. If you work in sport, you're kind of there is this sense of hey, you should feel privileged to have this job. I mean, you are lucky. I'm a majority of people who work in sport, you love sport, right? So there is a sense of hey, I'm just lucky to be here. Maybe I don't need to be paid overtime. Maybe I don't need to care about weekend work. You just sort of, you get stuck in the mode that's just, you're just oh, this is just sport. Working overtime is sport. Oh, staying online, social media, not 24/7, that's exaggerated, but you're just oh, that's sport. So I found that really interesting that people had a phrase for all those stuff and called it cool tax. Well played. I think you're dead on. There's something about it. I'm going to make sure I give credit to these ones because the speakers did a great job, and the speakers were from either Australia, New Zealand, America. I think that were it, but they did a great job of even flying people down for the event. And it was their first time. Good budget. Must be a decent budget or just generous. Anyway, Dan Beltran from the Buccaneers in the NFL, creative director. Not an NFL person, but boy, this guy was very good. He was almost like most people you talk to. You're hey, what was your favorite one? They were Dan Beltran. Similar to me. Anyway, he was saying that feedback isn't personal. It's to do with what suits the brand. Someone in the audience asked him that question, how you give feedback, and I loved it. Because I, for one, I can put my hand up. I can tell you that I can be pretty defensive or pretty shit, how dare you say my work needs 15 changes or just stuff like that. And I feel like most people can be. This is a great way to look at it. Don't take it personally, Darren. All right, this is more nitty-gritty of the sport design industry, similar to the cool tax, and it may have even been Dr. Sarah Weimer with this one as well, but it was an overall theme at the conference, right? So companies acknowledge that digital content and social media is important, but how are they actually helping that importance? That's what I wrote down. So you acknowledge that digital content is only getting bigger, better, more important. It's like the public-facing profile of anyone's business and anyone's brand online, right? you're like, hey, that's really important. But how are you actually helping that importance with how much you're paying the digital team? How many people are in the digital team? All these things. How are you properly resourcing? Sorry, I just stuffed up so many times off camera that I might cut out. How are you properly resourcing? All that stuff. I think it's very important. Overtime work, similar to what I was saying about cool tax. We acknowledge that it's important, but what are we doing about it? How are we changing that? Oh, good one. In general, use more humor in your content, because every single person, it doesn't matter what industry, what age, whatever, every single person relates to humor. And this is credit to Jacob Gaynor, who worked at the GWS Giants, AFL down here in Australia. I don't know why I keep saying that. I'm just like, if anyone internationally watches this, they're like, what's the AFL? Kind of created a name for himself by being humorous online, and everyone related to that. Now he's gone to the Tasmania Devils, so he's doing a hell of a job, but humour is his MO, I will say. And also, Dan Gorringe. Everyone sort of knows him in the AFL world for being funny, and I'll talk more about him later, but just use humour, all right? Even if you're the most serious brand in the world, think about how you can use it. This is one I really resonated with, because I always try to say to people how important athlete-led content is. And this one came from Shabazz Khan, he's worked at the NFL right now, but he's worked at the Minnesota Timberwolves, Sacramento Kings, Nike, Uninterrupted, which is LeBron's agency. He's done everything. How about that for a resume, by the way? He's also one of the very first creative people I followed in this field. So really cool that he was at this event in Australia. But he said, there is 3.5 times more engagement on athlete-led content versus brand-only posts. It just speaks to the importance of athletes actually getting around content, athlete leading that content, and athletes posting content, full stop. This was an overarching theme by Dwayne Hankins, who was the president of business ops in Portland Trail Blazers. I really resonated with some of the stuff he was saying, but he was like, always learn new things and challenge yourself. And then provided a motivational, he liked quotes in his presentation, which I kind of liked. He said, if you're not growing anywhere, you're not going anywhere. I thought that was really good. Doesn't matter what stage of your career you're in. Doesn't matter. Just how you're going to grow next. How you're going to challenge yourself. Last two. And these relate to Dan Gorringe. By the way, Dan Gorringe, if you know who Dan Gorringe is and you follow AFL and you're in Australia, you probably know who he is. He used to play footy, not for a long time, but then he kind of entered the media space. And his whole thing is doing footy differently. But I think people take him too seriously, because his whole thing is pretty funny, pretty sort of chaotic style of coverage of the AFL. But I just can't help but to respect him. He comes across as different on stage. He was certainly different compared to a lot of the speakers at Victory Lap. But I just respect people for being themselves. Be entirely yourself and be unapologetically yourself. And that's the vibe I got from him. And like I said, I can't help but to respect people like that. So credit to him. He said posting on social media is a courage problem, not a content problem. And I think that was awesome, because so often we're probably just like, if you want to start posting content on your personal brand or on a business's account or something, you're probably like, what should I post? Especially if it's front facing, like if it's on your face and yourself, you're like, what should I post? What content should I post? I'm not going to be able to come up with ideas. But he was like, no, it's more courage. It's more a courage problem to look silly. Like, we are all wired in the fact that we're going to think about what other people think of us. So therefore, we use it as like a roadblock to post content. And I thought that was a great way of summing it up. It's not like a content idea brainstorm problem. It's just courage. Just put yourself out there. Lastly, this is one of the last ones I wrote in my notebook at the very end of it. And it's just literally just, as what I said before, I just really respect people who are unapologetically themselves. That note was taken around the time that Dan Gorringe was on stage, and I just thought, it just kept popping in my mind. Like, if you can be yourself, even if it rubs some people the wrong way, which Dan did, I'll tell you, first and foremost, some people after were just like, not a big fan or something. But I was just like, it's not that serious. That's literally the last thing I wrote in my phone. It's like, it's not that serious. Like, we're covering sport. We're talking about sport. If you say some controversial stuff, if you say stuff that others aren't saying, it's just like, I don't know, can't we all just laugh? And if it's not your cup of tea, it's not your cup of tea. It doesn't need to go any further than that. So it's not that serious. Have a laugh. Clearly Dan has done awesome work in staying in his lane in the footy industry, and as I keep saying, I can't help but to respect someone like that. So they were my favorite notes. But Victory Lab, once again, just an awesome conference. they label it as not another sports conference, and they certainly did do it a bit differently. So first year was awesome. Second year, I'm assuming it's going to be bigger and better. So look forward to that one. But until next time, I'll catch you later, okay?